Life is valuable, and most people value it more than everything else because for them, life is everything. For you wouldn't have existed without life, and you wouldn't have to think if this statement is worth thinking about. We think all life is equal, but we sure don't act like it. We value people closer to us than other people on other countries or other continents. Even when you're in the same town or college, you would care for your friends than other strangers. But what is the value of life? Are the lives of criminals less valuable? What about people that still have so much to live for and people that are closer to their death? People surely would value the one that has more to live than people closer to their death, right? In terms of all life, we value humans' life more than we value animals' life. We try to protect animals and humans, but not all lives are worth saving. For instance, we eat plants. We don't preserve the life of bacteria that causes bad infections or mosquitoes that cause malaria. We even spend our resources to kill these harmful insects or animals that don't belong in unnatural places, like this lionfish in Florida's coastal waters that harms native wildlife and habitat because they're invasive. So, what kind of lives do we value? And what makes them valuable enough that we value them over others? Animals defenders might not agree that humans and animals have the same value, but the lives of these animals are valuable enough to not be killed. But there are times when it is permissible to kill animals, just like humans killing other humans in the act of self-defense. Sometimes we kill animals when it brings the greater good for the ecosystem. For instance, killing bats to prevent diseases or this invasive ant colony or these minks in Denmark that are responsible for a mutated form of coronavirus. And to add to the horror of the outbreak, the mink rose from the dead. In terms of human life, would there be better humans than others? Many parents choose to abort their children when their children have been diagnosed with Down syndrome. But why do the parents get to choose what to do with the children's life? Who gets to choose to make the decision, the child or the parents? The act to abort children with Down syndrome seems to say that their lives value less than other people and they aren't able to lead a happy life. There are people with Down syndrome speaking about the predictions doctors made at their birth and now are proving the doctors wrong. They said they enjoy swimming, bowling, music, art, and doing things with their lovers. Frank Stephens, a person with Down syndrome, testified at a congressional hearing in 2017, said the so-called solution made by people aborting Down syndrome fetus that seems to say people like him shouldn't exist is deeply prejudiced and outdated idea. He made a strong statement that he's having a great life. But what about us average people and people with a lot of achievements like artists, scientists, philosophers, leaders, visionaries, innovators, people that have changed the course of human history, that have contributed a substantial amount to humanity? Are they better in general? Well, it's hard to say. We should appreciate them for giving us great discoveries and making our lives easier. But not all people want to go big and do great achievements. Some people are better off living a normal life and working for those creating big discoveries. It's all about preferences, and average people wouldn't be able to survive without smart people, and smart people wouldn't survive without average people. We complement each other, and there's no need to say which one is better than another. But would people value the death of Bill Gates more than a random homeless person? Yes, because we see Gates as someone that is highly influential, that contributes to society. But if you had to choose between saving your child or Gates, which one would you choose? Sometimes, one of the ways to preserve the value of human life is by ending life itself. To give you an idea, Daniel Lee Lewis committed his first murder when he was 17 and that was only the beginning for his 7-year crime spree that consisted of bombings, public shootouts, and murder. The crime that led him to his death penalty happened on January 11, 1996, where he and his partner kidnapped a gun dealer with his wife and stepdaughter, believing they would go at their house. He tortured and killed William Mueller, his wife, and 8-year-old daughter, forcing them to reveal the secret location for the so-called treasure. Did he deserve the death penalty, or is his life worth saving? I believe many people would agree with the former. Is the value of his life so important that it can be an excuse for his heinous acts towards his victims? Some people are against the death penalty, saying life is too valuable to take, but some argue that the lives of the victims aren't valuable enough to avenge. Whatever that may be, ending the death penalty can give the wrong message to the people. During the first few months of the outbreak of the coronavirus, Italy was one of the hardest hit countries, and the medical facility was overwhelmed with patients. The doctors weren't able to treat everyone, and they had to make a difficult choice, and that is to let the elderly die. It's a choice very few people want to make, but we have to consider between the quantity and the quality of life. Quality adjusted life year is a generic measure of disease burden, including both the quality and the quantity of life lived. It's used in economic evaluation to assess the value of medical interventions. 1 calis means perfect health, and 0 means being dead. But some people conclude having chronic pain or terminal diseases is worse than death, and the calis is negative or less than 0. Many people in the state of negative calis are considering voluntary euthanasia when they believe they have no hope of achieving positive calis. But not all people are granted euthanasia, and some argue that it would be better to give euthanasia instead of allocating medical resources to people that are being denied euthanasia, and it would help improve the people with positive calis, especially when the medical resources are limited. So really, is one life more valuable than another, or does it hold an absolute value where everyone has the same amount of value? The traditional view of life through the lens of religion sees life as something valuable, and no one life is better than another. But what is so special about the origin of humanity that makes them so precious? Albert Schweitzer claimed that all life is precious because when God created humans, He created all other life. The reverence for life means that enhancing and maintaining life is good, and anything that destroys, hurt, or hinder life is evil. However, the deep reverence for life doesn't mean that all life is valuable, since Schweitzer recognized that in order to enhance some life, other lives must be destroyed. We can also conclude that life or existence doesn't simply mean good or value, and death or non-existence doesn't mean bad or disvalue. Socrates told us that fear of death is irrational, and only good life is worth living, not just by simply being alive. Assume that we treat humans accordingly as ends in itself. It would make for a great world. But should we treat rapists, murderers in the same way? Should we treat people well, even when they behave irrationally and immorally? Well, our Greek ancestors said otherwise. For them, some lives are valuable than others, given that the Greeks value virtue and excellence. Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle understood that striving for excellence wasn't to compete against others, but with ourselves to become the best version of ourselves. The Greeks believed in ethics based on quality. However, when taken to the extreme, it created the world of civilized Greeks and barbarians and human beings seen as slaves by nature. Though if we ignore the way Greeks treated people back in the days and put on some rational view, we can see in the sense of specific value that some humans are valuable than others, respective to the things one value, since we have different gifts, capabilities, and quirks. Human lives are precious and should be appreciated, But that doesn't mean that all lives have a fixed value, where we all are equal, since value is a human construct, and every person has a different set of things that they value, and what they value is what makes their life valuable. Whether you want to be free, pushing yourself to the limit to be the best version of yourself, or treat people better, life itself is not the highest value, but the very basic foundation of other higher values, where you assign it your own quality to live life to the fullest, since a quality life is always better than just simply being alive. Hey guys, thank you for watching. What do you think about the value of life? Is it absolute or not? Tell me in the comment, and thank you for watching.